Hello, Saints. This time I want to take a look at something from the Bible that many of us miss. And the reason why I started looking for some of this is because of what's called the Neo-Arianism. That is, not just within our denomination, but across Christianity, is a rise of a new movement to try to prove that Jesus was a created being, or at best, was derived from God, but he's not equal to the Father, and nor is he as eternal as the Father. The old Arian saying that there was one time in the past when Jesus was not. This is threatening our church as well. And a lot of people have said that Jesus wasn't made God until the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. And if that's so, at this council, which says this is the council that makes Jesus God, and at the same time gave us our New Testament, is simply untrue. We can go back into scriptures and read passages that predate Paul about the deity of God, that Christ is equal with the Father, that he is recognized even before Paul wrote any word in our New Testament, that they recognized that he was God. We have the divine in our New Testament, and Paul didn't even write it. We go to Philippians chapter 2, verses 6 to 11. This is rightly called a Christian psalm. And this is one of the early confessions. In fact, it's probably the first confession of faith composed for worship. And this is the verse that predates the existence of all the writings that come after. So we know early on in the Christian history that Jesus was divine. Everything said of Christ earlier in the confession belongs rightly to a confession culminating in this concluding formula. Later we'll see that this formula was in itself a brief confession of faith. Jesus was God himself. We read here that it mentions the kenosis of Christ and his appearance as a common man, his abasement to the death of the cross and his exaltation, and it concludes with the proclamation of the present lordship of the glorified Christ. Wherefore God has highly exalted him and given him a name which is above every name, and that is the name of Jesus. Every knee should bow, of things in heaven and things in earth and things under the earth. And every tongue should confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. This we see here where Christ is called Lord, and is one of the highest designations for deity in the New Testament. We see here that Jesus was early on recognized. This is part of the work that was being done by a group of men and scholars in the early part of the last century, as well as work that was picked up by 1975 by Gary Habermas in his dissertation on the resurrection of Christ, where he can debate with historicists the resurrection using what he calls the minimal facts theory, and not using the Bible, but show that early on, up until the time of the resurrection itself, that his people, Jesus' people, believed and taught that Jesus had indeed risen from the dead. This is not some latecomer. And we can have faith in that, we can have confidence in this, that our Bibles are true, and that the message of Christ in it is unlike any other message that we find out there about deities and gods or whatever belief you have. We can believe that Jesus rose from the dead, and that our people believed it from the beginning. The disciples would never have taught something they knew was not truth. They would not submit themselves to death knowing that it was a lie. This is something that we can hold on to and know that our Bibles are true, and Jesus is Lord, and the grave, the tomb is empty, and that he's coming again for us. Our hope is not futile, is not in vain. Blessings.